And so, that's one of those things. A friend of mine in college, we made up this saying, said if we had to leave town, we were going to get out front and make it look like a parade. And if I got something, you just turn those lemons into lemonade, make it work for you. Make it work for you. Don't take it in a distasteful, disgruntled way. Now, that's a little deal. That's a $400 deal. The numbers get higher. You might want to start working a little harder on who's right and who's wrong. And then when you heard the risk management expert up here say, when the numbers get big and they want to settle, don't get tangled up between what's right and what's wrong. Get tangled up in the money. And I'm not going to ask you to show me hands, but any of you that have ever been involved in a lawsuit, it is emotionally draining. It takes away from your time to manage your company, to do your deals, to do anything else you want to do. It is emotionally draining. It is not worth the fight. Unless the numbers are huge, and then you might have to fight because you couldn't pay it if you lost it. So, take that and weigh it. Fixed cost, variable cost, risk. When we look at our agents, when we talk about our companies, when we talk about our brokerage offices, that is what we're trying to balance in the marketplace. Risk. Whoever takes the most risk should get the greater return. Do you agree with that? Please tell me yes. We've lost that concept in this country. But when you take the most risk, you should get the greater return. When you have no risk, your return should be what? Lower. So if I have an agent that I pay everything for them, everything, advertising, license fees, MLS fees, everything. They owe nothing when every month rolls around. They write nobody a check for anything. Should they be on a 90-10 split? Should they be on 100%? They should be lower. Because what? They have no risk to stay in business. But when the broker accepts those monies, those responsibilities, those liabilities into their own pocketbook, they have what? Risk. And the more that you take, the more risk you have, the higher your fixed cost, the bigger your obligation on a monthly basis, that's your risk to stay alive. To stay alive. Otherwise, when you can't write those checks, you have to go to the bank. Which gets us to another statement that I think you need to know. And it's been known by several different names over the years. Everything from statement of cash flows, cash flow statement, statement of changes in financial position, those things are all there. But what it really means is examining the business in a bigger perspective. And you can do this on a time frame that's very different. You can do it on a quarter, a year, and I'm going to give you an example for a year. You remember the balance sheet we talked about? This is what I have, this is what I owe, this is what I have left over. That's my net worth. 1 year. 1 year later, this is what I have, this is what I owe, this is what I have left over. Photograph here, photograph there of that one moment in time. 1 moment in time. That's what a balance sheet is. It is a photograph of that moment on that day at that time. Now, what happened in between the two? That's important. Have you ever seen businesses, they get through, they work all the way through the year, and then they have money in their pocket and they're happy and they said they had a good year? Maybe not. Because there are 3 areas we need to examine in between there. There's the operating side, there's the financing side, and then we've got another little area that we've got to look at, which is the what? What?
Liability?
The liability? No. Operations, financing, and then we'll get to the other one. But the operation is the big one. The operation is huge because when we look at that and we say, okay, did we make this money by operating, doing what we do for a living? Did we make this money by financing? Did we go to the bank and borrow some money? And the other one is investing. Did we make this money that's in our checkbook by selling an asset of the company? And so you understand we have money in the checkbook. So we're feeling good without analyzing it further. But we have to make sure that we understand, did we generate the cash by doing what we do for a living? Did we generate the cash by selling an asset? Or did we generate the cash by financing, that is, go out and borrow the money? And that will tell you whether that cash is in there is a good. Could you actually end up the year with no money in the account and you had a good year? The answer is yes, because maybe we had a loan that we paid off. We paid down debt. We used that money. We made money. We paid down debt. Boom. We don't have much money, but whoa, we have a lot less debt. That's the financing side. Or we decided to go out and buy a new location, new equipment in the office. We don't have any cash or as much cash, but boom, we're ready to make some more money in other locations. So just because we don't have the cash there doesn't mean we had a bad year. And then operations. Now, if everything else is stagnant and doesn't change with financing and investing, and you don't have money at the end of the year, guess what? As a manager, your ears need to go up. Your radar needs to peak. You need to look at that and say, okay, what happened? Did we not do it right? Did we not make enough money on each transaction? Did we pay out too much money to agents? Did we pay out too much money for our other expenses? I want you to take a few minutes, excuse me, a few minutes right now among each other, and I want you to write down the top 5 expense areas that you deal with as a manager. The top 5 that are troublesome for you to maintain your brokerage. Each agent, I want you to write down the top 5 expense areas that make your life difficult. And if you don't write the check for it at the end of the month, you're in trouble. But we still sit there and do stupid, idiotic things with our money. Now, I'm not upset about it. I just think it's crazy. Now, we might want to look and spend the same amount of money, but put it in different places and place it in other things that are really productive for what we want. If we spend it all on the internet, we're only giving up 13 to 20% of the potential market. But see, you got to be careful because those statistics may be coming from internet people. I'm just kidding. All right, what else besides advertising? Where else do you spend your money? I'm not going to beat you up on any others like that one. Oh, maybe I am. Phones. Man, have you seen such a wide variety in the expense for communications? How many of you use internet voice over now? How many of you use regular phone systems and all those things? I mean, it's just across the board. In my area, we don't have much competition, but we're starting to have some come into town. You know how I know? Because the last contract I signed, my phone company wanted me to sign an 84-month deal. I'm like, you're a monopoly. You are a monopoly. Why do I need to sign an 84-month deal with you? Because we're having competitors come in. We don't want you to be able to talk to them. Be careful. Be careful. The competition in that area is going to get greater and greater and greater. So when they start coming after you for long-term contracts, leave the door open for yourself. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to deny you service? One phone call can stop that. Negotiate. All right. Communications. What else? That's it? Advertising? Oh, salaries. Okay. And what was the other? Rent. Okay, rents. I think we're wide open now. Well, but you know, agents do have rent sometimes. Depends on the splits. Depends on the plan. Now, when you shift that money from the broker to the agent for some square footage rent, what are you doing? You're shifting some risk, so they get more of the return. You see how this all works out?